So in looking at some of our posts on TikTok and some comments that have come in over some of our clips.
Before you continue, I'm going to do a sensitive language warning because...
Okay. So anyways, people will comment because we often talk about how it's stated so often, it's a myth that women lie about sexual assault allegations, and that it's a rarity. Okay, and even the Supreme Court of Canada, to some extent, have said, it's rare that a woman fabricates a sexual assault allegation, but it happens, but it's rare. And we've talked about how in our practice over the course of 20 years where we've specialized in defending these types of cases, and the work that we attract allows us to have a fairly good, robust database on cases that we can say about a third, 30 to 40% we can prove are demonstrably false. Right. In other words, they're fabricated. And the comments I get are, just because they're found not guilty or the charge is withdrawn doesn't mean that the complainant lied about the allegation. I can just read, and it's just, I've gotten a number of these, and I'm like, what data are you relying on? You're not relying on real data. It's just your opinion. Okay. So you know what? And I try and respond, but it really doesn't. I don't love social media, I have to tell you, and it doesn't. It never goes well for a reasoned, respectful dialogue about what we're talking about. And I try and explain, no, over the course of 20 years, we will have amassed, say, 300, 400, 500 cases where we have the transcripts, we have the evidence that we used, we've had evidence that demonstrably was able to establish that there's fabrication. Same, I get met with the same bullshit. And we've spoken often about cases where you had that fucking case where literally there is a video recording where the complainant is video recording the actual act, and never thought that for some reason your client had it or retained it, and went and made a completely false sexual assault allegation. Okay, and that's demonstrative evidence. Okay,
doesn't get better than that.
Well, it does.
It does. But wait, it does.
This may be the most demonstrably false allegation I think I'll ever have in my career. Okay, so let me set this up.
Please do.
I'm going to talk a lot, so I
know
apologize.
You are.
Okay?
I know. I'll try to rein you in.
This person was charged with 5 counts of sexual assault. Okay, so the complainant...
Over what time period?
Basically a period in 2024.
Okay, so narrow.
So about a year, but with specified dates. And although the complainant said there was tons of unwanted interaction, unwanted touching, nothing was consensual. And so there were specific instances that the police charged on because she was able to give dates. I don't know how, but she was able to give dates. And the complainant goes into the police and gives a sworn statement under oath. A sworn statement under oath, okay? Like people think that actually matters. But there's a sworn statement under oath. So I just want to, again, I'm going to be very careful to protect identification, solicitor-client privilege, all those things. I don't want to divulge any identity. But this is just too f***ing juicy not to read, okay?
Told you, sensitive
The detective asked, so what brought you here? I feel like it's my obligation to report him. Okay. To let him stop doing the wrong things to other young females. Okay. My previous supervisor, he harassed me and my colleagues. Okay. This is a very probing interview so far.
Okay.
And denied everything. He denied everything. He misused his power. And he twisted everything, manipulated me when I was at my most vulnerable time, and gaslighted me after that. And he claimed himself as a good person. And he's also a member of the Canadian military. You know how they are. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. Yeah, let's start from the beginning. When did he do this to you? Well, he harassed me throughout the time that I worked at the company without my consent. Okay.
Very probing.
Without my consent, and then made me feel like I don't make him happy, like I'll lose my job if I report him. he won't, nothing will happen to him if I report him. He won't get into trouble. I felt helpless, without power. Okay. He hired me in 2021. Okay. And then he started to work with me, but it started with like, did he like me? That he wanted to touch me. It made me feel weird. I felt vulnerable. And then I asked him, I was confused. What's his purpose? Finally, 100% sure that he was doing all this touching on purpose. He just wouldn't stop. He would put his hands on my shoulder and on other parts. It was awful. He'd say to me, Lily, you're awesome. That's actually not her name. And because I didn't report him, there was one time he tried to kiss me, and then it escalated from there. Used these pet names, called me sweetie. He drove me around in his car. The touching and sex, I'm just sort of paraphrasing right now, happened in all sorts of places and happened in the office. Goes on to also explain sexually harassed other colleagues. That just gives you a flavor. Used various nicknames for her, like sweet names. That's sort of the tenor of the start of the statement. That's just the start of it, okay? Again, like I feel it's my obligation to report him, to have him stop doing the wrong things to other young women. He harassed me and my colleagues. Sorry, what did you want to say?
How long is the statement? How long does it go on for?
This is just a snippet, 300 pages.
Oh my God.
Essentially, when you go through the entirety of the statement, the complainant is saying that she was terrified of losing her job. She presented herself as a completely unwilling, manipulated, gaslighted participant. At all the time was forced into sexual contact and eventually into a sexualized relationship with her supervisor, the accused, and thus he was charged with these 5 counts.
Got it.
So start to finish.
Completely. 300-page statement, video recorded, under oath.
Under oath, yeah.
One would imagine that certain people would say, well, that's very compelling.
Right.
It's got all the right terms. It got all the right terms in there.
Right.
Very rare that they lie.
And of the 5 instances that he was charged with, she was very detailed in what the specific acts were. Very detailed. And a Crown or a advocate would say, well, that detail itself lends credibility to the complaints themselves.
Because you can't make stuff up like that.
The bravery.
Yeah.
The client says, oh, you know, Joe, I have messages and I think I have recordings, and gives me sort of his version of events. And I'm like, well, I'd really like, you know, the total history of messages. Well, we messaged a lot. There was a lot that went on, and there were some recordings I made towards the end of the relationship because, you know, I was having an affair, and I was trying to distance myself, and I was married, but my marriage is more friendship than anything else, and I regret what I was doing. But you know, she wanted me to leave my wife and wanted a formal relationship, and so I started recording a couple of things because I got very worried as to what she was saying.
Red flags.
But
red
I
flags.
think I deleted everything. Okay, so we get the phone, thank God, and it's, you know, of course he can't recover it, so we go to one of our digital experts, and the expert is able to extract almost everything that he said.
Oh, wow.
Very lucky, and he had to spend time. I'm going to pause for dramatic purposes. Remember just sort of the start of the statement and the tenor of the evidence. Okay, so just to give you a sample of what messages we had. Instagram messages from almost the inception of the relationship to the end of the relationship, where they are having sexualized messages back and forth. And towards the end of when he's breaking this off, the complainant is saying that she is missing getting personal text from him, can offer him everything short of marriage in a relationship, but maybe wants to get married one day. Please come back. So that's Insta messages.
Please come back.
Other text messages. Again, sexualized communication. Can't wait till I see you
My pumpkin.
in the office. Yep. Can't wait till I see you in the office. Talk about the audio recordings. And I'm going to expand on these. But
Yeah. So these are the ones you were covered.
don't specifically give the dates, but yeah.
No.
Yeah, we recovered the audio. Some audio
So one of
recordings.
the audio recordings, she's heard to be laughing and saying, "It's cute how she can threaten to ruin his family." Red flag, red flag. Another audio recording, she's saying she's grumpy because he did not finish giving her an orgasm with her sex toy due to him forgetting to lock the door to the common room at the office. Again, another recording. She says she fooled herself thinking that his attention meant that he wanted a bigger relationship with her, and she had a misunderstanding.
And there was some screenshots too.
Yeah. Screenshots of an erotic photo shoot that she shared with him on Instagram, of all places.
So that's just some, and there's other messages, but
Lots.
So throughout the exact time period she says she was sexually assaulted, you see a mutual, highly engaged, sexualized history of communications,
Right.
and then you see where he's trying to taper off the relationship, and where it gets to be pretty creepy and scary.
Yeah, it's reached that level.
So recordings that are mentioned and turned over to the Crown. I fooled myself for a year thinking that you wanted more, that you'd leave your wife. I never met your wife. I was only part-time to you. Uses the wife's name specifically. Talks about wanting to have a full-time relationship and not getting it. Closer to the end of the relationship, much closer, where you talked about the one that's threatening. She's threatening him in the recording.
Right.
To ruin his family.
And saying how cute it is that she can do that.
She's laughing,
Yeah.
saying, "This is very cute. It's very cute. You look very cute when you're so serious. I like your attitude that you're taking my words seriously. Maybe this will help improve our relationship. I want you to maintain me in your life." And then he's saying, "But you want to ruin my family." "Yeah, I can ruin your family," and is laughing.
Right.
"This makes me feel cute."
Uh-huh.
I think Michael's texting me.
Are you guys still doing
No.
surreptitious messaging while we're...
No. I blocked you a long time ago.
I thought the police will be interested in
You forgot who I am. I'm reminding you who I am. I promise you, I will ruin your family. I can't tell you how this makes me feel. It's fun. It makes me feel good. Laughing again. This episode is sponsored by EasyDNS. EasyDNS is a domain name, registrar, and host that has a 30-year track record in the domain and web hosting industry. Whether it be cancel culture, platform attacks, or nefarious actors online, move your domain and web hosting over to EasyDNS, one of the most secure web hosting services, and help support Not on Record in the process. All you have to do is go to easydns.com/notonrecord, or when you sign up at EasyDNS, use the promo code NOTONRECORD at checkout. Thank you, EasyDNS, for your support of Not on Record. And now back to our podcast. Thank you. I like the fact that you have a serious look on your face. That expression makes me laugh.
I'm scared.
Next week on Netflix,
That's one recording.
when exes go
nervous.
bad. Yeah.
There's another one like that I didn't list out in our cheat sheets for today. But there's an amusing one because the complainant had specifically stated there was absolutely no willingness on her part. So we had photos of sex toys that she had in the office because a lot of these alleged sex took place in the office. So she brought sex toys. Some of the sex toys needed to be charged.
Those cables are hard to find.
So they're hooked up.
Charging station?
There are pictures that
micro
she
USB,
took
you
of
think?
them where she hid them, and sent the messages to him, we were able to recover those. Okay? But then there's this recording where she's literally berating him because he didn't satisfy her. And, you know, you mentioned that one, but she was upset and grumpy and berating him because he didn't satisfy her with the sex toy because he forgot to lock the door and somebody was coming, so they had to stop. Of course, it's not already dangerous to be doing anything in an office environment in any event.
Yeah.
This is just a sample of some of the messages and audio recordings we had.
Which
Can you
continue.
imagine?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Which continue through the period of allegations.
Yeah. Can you imagine if we weren't able to recover this?
Oh, God.
Just let's talk about that for a moment. And I want this to be clear, and I want this fucking clip to go back onto TikTok. Because when people ask, well, just because the charge is withdrawn doesn't mean she wasn't telling the... No, she was absolutely, unequivocally, psychopathically fucking lying. Again, I want to be very careful. We never take the position, as lawyers or on this podcast, that there are not true, legitimate victims of sexual violence.
Of course.
There are absolutely victims. The reason we talk about this and use these examples are because of the deniers, that there are false allegations. There are deniers that deny the reality. And it is sickening that we don't understand this well enough. It bothers me that the Supreme Court of Canada actually endorsed that a fabricated allegation is a rarity. It is not. We have cases like this where 30 to 40% of the cases that we're relying on, we have demonstrative evidence. This is demonstrative evidence. This may be one of the strongest examples we have, but we've had pretty damn strong examples.
Oh, yes.
Can you imagine if we couldn't recover this? What the would happen at trial?
A decade ago, probably couldn't have this stuff. Scary.
I mean, just think about going to trial where your client gives the entire narrative but has not a scintilla of independent evidence to rely on. Do you think they'd win?
It's terrifying.
The complainant in this case played all the right cues during the interview.
Clearly.
Sad,
Sad.
crying, all the right terminology. I was powerless.
Built
I was
it up.
vulnerable. I felt I was going to get fired. I couldn't complain. He said I couldn't do nothing to him. He gaslit me.
All the words.
All the words, all the emotions during the course of the interview. I have no doubt that's the way she would have portrayed it at trial.
How was she on the video?
Compelling.
Okay.
I mean, you know, in and of itself, you'd be like, poor woman.
Yeah. Okay.
What happened to the case after?
Withdrawn.
Yeah.
Wonderful Crown attorney. And in this case, what we do is we prepare a reasonable prospect of conviction memo. Right. So the Crown has an obligation to consistently review whether there is a prospect of conviction on the case. And in some instances, we will do a memo outlining why we think the case should be withdrawn and appending to it all irrelevant evidence.
Right.
Ship
Without
that
prejudice, yep.
on a without prejudice basis, shipped it all to the Crown. Excellent Crown attorney, female Crown attorney, who contacted me and said, oh my God.
She didn't think it was cute.
No.
No, she took this very seriously. She was, and again, I've said this over and over. I've had great experience, and our firm has had good experience with very good Crown attorneys who take, when you open your brief to them,
Right.
or when we're having to do it in the 276, 278, because strategically there may be a reason where we have to go all the way
Right.
through that they then take a very hard look at their case and they realize where there's a problem.
Right.
Just so happens there's a case one of our colleagues, Nick, is on, where the Crown has been quite obvious to say, this is a f***ing acquittal, but we got to go through the trial. Because they don't have the power in that instance to just simply withdraw. But we've had, you know, a fair share of really good Crown attorneys who are extremely good at analyzing the evidence. And we had an extraction report, so I was able to provide the actual extraction
Messages and
report
recordings, yeah.
from the expert with the software and data and all that stuff, so that there's no disputing the authenticity
They
of any of
aligned
this.
with the allegations.
And the timing was perfect.
Yep. Perfect.
Can you imagine if we didn't have access to this?
No, I can't. Making me sweat already.
No, it's terrifying. I'm terrified. I'm terrified to think on how many occasions where an accused does not have access to independent evidence and can be found guilty and would be found guilty. I'm terrified of that because people criticize me for this, I say, no, frankly, it's almost, there's a presumption of guilt.
Yep.
And although judges are very good and adept at, the WD analysis, which is, if they're capable of being believed, but I've had cases where, the accused's evidence is discounted too easily.
Because of his status in many cases.
Well, as a supervisor, there would be an issue of whether you're, exploiting your position and therefore is it vitiating consent.
And she was alive to that, the complainant. Like, she played on that.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Right. But I've had, there are instances where, an accused will be not believed for certain reasons that really are not good reasons to not believe them.
Yeah, exactly.
I lost my shit kind of when I was looking at some of these messages. I'm like, or comments. I'm like, I just don't understand the resistance to understanding what we're saying.
Right.
Again, we're in no way, shape, or form trying to say real allegations don't exist.
No, of course not.
They absolutely do.
They do.
We're not a great species. We do bad shit.
Yeah.
But we get an abundance of cases where, thank God, we're able to dig and get evidence. And thank God to our experts. We have excellent digital experts, tech experts who are able to do this. Like, great stuff. And the software in this case that he was using was similar software that the police unit uses, right?
Right.
So there is just no way to fight with the authenticity of what we had.
Right, no, of course.
But without it, we could have lost.
In a blink.
You even, he used the fact that he was part of the military.
Yeah.
You know how they are.
Right.
What? Alluding to the scandals that's gone on in the Canadian military.
Which does not, all our service members
with respect, it does not all, represent the entirety of the military. Not. So, it was just playing on all this stuff.
Outrageous.
It really got to me. Finally, it's withdrawn.
But the steps it took to get there.
Well, I had a good Crown attorney.
How long did it take?
She was totally open. I said, look, I've got evidence here. I want to disclose it. I want to organize it. I need time to. I did an extraction report. She goes, absolutely, I'll review it. No problem.
Yep.
So arrest to withdrawal, how long was that?
9 months.
9 months.
Well, I had to get. We had to. The extraction took time.
That's just how long it takes. But
So, well, I mean, our experts work faster than the police do. The
police.
turnaround with the police can take up to 6 months, right?
Easily, yeah.
Ours can take up to, sometimes on a rush you can do it, but A, you got to afford it. B, they have other work too, right? So I think it took about 60 days to get that done,
not bad.
Which wasn't bad at all. No. I had to get the disclosure. The statement's 300 pages. I had to read it, and we have to distill it and then break it down because we do a chart basically with each allegation and then how we refute it with the messages and with the recordings and with everything else. We try and not do it in a haphazard way. We want to do it in a understandable fashion as possible so the Crown, when they read it, it's self-explanatory. Right. You line it up well. So it took time.
Right. So
not everyone can afford $2-3 grand for that service. That's
2-3 grand. This wasn't 2-3 grand.
More.
This was 10.
Oh my God.
But even that guy who was lucky enough to have that evidence, 9 months.
He deleted it. Okay, so
right?
we were lucky that we were able to extract it.
Yes.
But she did ruin his life for 9 months, and nothing's stopping her, right?
Life is still ruined because he was charged.
He was charged.
He was placed on bail. He was suspended from work.
Media release, maybe? No, not
suspended from work. Suspended from work. They were good to him though. They kept him on
leave of absence.
On a paid leave of absence. Good. I was able to get a little involved in that. I'm not an employment lawyer, but I was able to speak to his supervisor a little bit and just say I can't divulge anything, but I'm gonna get this withdrawn. Okay, so just hang in there with our client. But still it was on suspended. And on the computer system, it's going to say 5 charges of sex assault withdrawn, and that's going to be there.
That's still there.
And then can you imagine this guy going on TikTok and reading the comments? Oh, just because they're withdrawn doesn't mean he's innocent. Like living with that.
Well, but we do. We have.
You think so?
We have a lot. There are a lot of people who former clients who watch this stuff and they go, "Wow, they don't understand the trauma of this. They don't understand that I was subjected to something that was false for." Whatever reason, it's not real, but that's so much a reflection of our society.
And then they continue to experience it even after the charges are withdrawn from these people who.
But leaving that aside, if he were to go apply for now a job where he needs
Vulnerable
a
sector
vulnerable
check.
sector search, it's going to come up and he won't get the job.
Yeah, even if
So
it says
we're
withdrawn.
going to apply for destruction. The police are going to deny it, and then we're going to appeal, and we're going to go, I'm turning over my reasonable prospect of conviction memo to you. I'm going to turn over all the hard evidence, and I'm going to expect you to make the right decision on appeal to purge the entire everything in your
Right.
system.
Right.
But that's an effort too.
Right.
Can you imagine?
It's a further cost and a further effort.
Yeah, I mean, we won't charge much for that.
No,
but
I know,
we
but
have everything
still.
done. But it's like, it's terrible. And so I had to I had to bring this one out because it was just such a stark, and I needed to wait till it's withdrawn.
Right.
I don't know.
Brave new world. Scary place to be right now.
Well,
But at least we have the digital.
it's been like that for a while. But again, I'm going to leave this on the scary note. It's if you don't have access sometimes to the independent evidence you need in the face of a complainant who is extremely convincing, who has given a long, detailed statement of detailed allegations, and I'm talking details, like details.
Right.
The accused can be very vulnerable and wrongfully convicted if they didn't if the expert came back and say, I'm sorry, it's just corrupted. I can't get this.
And that's all it takes is somebody malevolent enough to put
In
you
many
through that.
instances, it is. Yep. So this is our one of our podcasts, the fight back about fabrications is not rare. It happens. We have statistically significant number.
Most of
Take
our
it
cases,
seriously.
yeah.
So let's have an objective view of these cases. Let's have an objective investigation. And actually, the police officer, I have to say, and it was just it was not the most probing of interviews. Like, this was the complainant going over and over and over and giving detail.
Scary stuff.
Yeah, so this is me talking a lot in this one, so
It's okay, we
sorry,
don't
but
mind.
it's an interesting story. But it dovetails with,
Hey, my case, yeah, with the video recording and the complainant quite enjoying herself.
yeah, and so many others. There's
I
just
know, I
there was
know.
just others where, where literally I had messages of the complainant threatening him. I will not leave you alone. You'll have to have me charged. And in fact, what she did was had him charged. Like, it's just a host of stuff. All right.
It's scary, though. That's the bottom
Let's
line.
go to Pillow Talk, because this was a short but meaningful
Your turn.
podcast.
Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share.
It's also on this side, so you don't have to turn it around.
And please, send us questions about cases, about case law, about legal issues, because we try and respond to them.
Yes.
Every so often we'll come up with a case review like this just because we want to talk about things and dispel those myths. We're going to be lining up some experts later on this fall, going into the winter, dealing with certain issues.
And
so
let
we're
us
gonna,
know if there's any particular type of expert you want to hear
yeah,
from.
something you want to hear from. I think what I want to talk about is, you've mentioned it before, is how sophisticated AI is coming and how you can do fake this, fake that. I think we're going to try and bring on a digital
our
expert.
digital expert that we use. I'm sure he'd be happy.
I'd like to bring on our digital expert as to how we fight that.
Yes.
Thank God she didn't have AI. Oh my God, can you imagine?
Next level.
Yeah. And
It's
who do we
coming.
thank?
Easy DNS.
Because I'm a customer. We love you, Easy DNS.
Thank you
Thank
for
you,
sponsoring our
EasyDNS.
podcast.
Yes.
And please switch your web hosting and your domain hosting over to EasyDNS. They're a great company, highly secure.
Yes.
Thank you. Send us questions. Send us your comments. Good night, and thank you for your viewing.
Good night. Thank you.